Hello everyone. So we have couple of classes ago we began saying that material can be classified based on their energy band gap. For dielectric medium will be very large, so at room temperature they would not normally conduct any electricity. Of course, if the temperature is raised, if the band gap is lower, then they would be conducting electricity. However, in normal temperature, and dielectric material or an insulator would not conduct electricity. However, for conducting material, the energy band is almost, there is so close that the valence band overlap the conduction band. So there is lots of free electrons in the conduction band. They are available because the outer cells are having free charges, and they would have very easily contribution to their free charge, and these charges are able to move through the lattice. Okay, they would move from one atom or one lattice to another lattice. They would displace the electron sitting there, that the electron would move and then it would displace the other one. It is like a long traffic, long road. You have a car, you can imagine cars, and one car is moving to the next position, the next car moving to the next car position, and so on. So what you have to realize is that even though the car themselves might be moving at very slow speed, but overall traffic movement would be much faster. So even though electrons might be jumping from lattice to lattice, one lattice to another lattice at very small speed, and indeed that is what would happen. The overall distribution, would be changing much rapidly. So that is how electricity is conducted inside conductor, and conductors are those material which have a large number of free electrons. So we will be looking at conductor, and we will be asking the same kind of question what we ask for dielectric. What would happen if there is a conductor, and if there is a free space, or any other dielectric would happen to the electric field to these two reasons? What would happen to electric field? That is all that is sufficient for me. But before I go there, I want to ask you one important question. In conductor, at least on static case, can there be electric field? Imagine you take a conductor, okay, and some solid conductor, put some charges in between. Would you actually see that charges remain there? Turn out that those charges do not remain inside the interior of conductor. What would happen is charges which are kept inside the conductor would develop an electric field, and since these charges are all like charges that we have kept, they will start to repel. Okay, so electron would fly away from interiors point, and they would all land up on the surface. Okay, now it would have happened that they would simply leave the surface and go away, but we are surrounding this conductor by a dielectric medium. Dielectric doesn't conduct, therefore the charges which originated from the interior would end up on the surface charge on the dielectric. We have in fact solved problem that of infinite plane. Okay, and we found that the electric field produced by infinite plane charge had electric field which was normal to the surface, and the charges are placed like this. Okay, and there is infinite surface charge here, which you can think of having a metal. You have a metal that is completely filling the space below the plane of the surface, and surface changes, and there is a nice dielectric above. Okay, there you are having a dielectric. An electric field was always normal to all these charged surface. An electric field was normal to charge surface, and D field would also be normal to the charge surface. But important point is that inside there is no electricity, because there was electric period inside, which that would accelerate the electron contribution, the current, and that is something what is not happening in static condition. Unless there is mean to generate and substation current, this would not happen. So inside, the most important point of a conductor is that under static condition there are no field, no charges inside the electric field. It doesn't matter whether that is normal or tangent. It would be normal electric field, but that would also exert some acceleration, some force on charge, and that is again strictly forbidden. Okay, so you can ask how much time does it take or require for charge distribution that is kept inside the material to become relaxation time. That is about 10 to the power minus 19 multiplied by 10 to the power minus 20 seconds. This is much below than attoseconds. 10 to the power minus 18. In my memory serves right, then this time is even less than that. For a good conductor such as copper, silver, aluminum, this time is very, very small. So therefore one can assume that just after about a couple of attosecond, one can assume that there is an essentially no charge or electric field inside the conductor. All the charges that are inside would be converted into surface charge distribution. This would nicely associate themselves to the surface. They would nicely associate themselves to the surface for a certain distribution. And there are very interesting questions about that. We will take up some of them later, but before we go there, we might want to we want to introduce some quantity called current. We have already introduced voltage. Voltage between any 2 points is the amount of work that is required to move charge, and we have obtained an expression. So let us introduce current now. Discuss that a little bit and then go to conductor, because one of the property of conductor is that they would conduct electricity. So we would like to know what is electric current. Electric current is because of motion of charges. In a conductor, these charges are electrons, and electrons are negatively charged. So when you apply electric field, electrons would move in opposite to the electric field. However, conventional current means that direction should be the direction of electric field, because in conventional current we assume that charge carriers are positive charged. Okay, however, we do know that current is actually because of electrons in conductor is because of electrons. So the conventional direction of current is opposite to the direction of electrons. Okay, so electrons flow from right to left, and conventional current flow from left to right. Okay, of course, if electrons flew from right to left, the conventional current will flow in another direction. But what is current? Well, current is essentially rate of change of charge, and that is if you were to consider a particular plane and then look at how many charges are flowing past this plane. Actually, a point, they would consider how many charges are flowing past this plane, or a point that would give me current charge flowing past per unit area. Okay, how many charges are flowing past this plane, or a point that would give me current charge flowing per unit time. That would give me the current. How? There is no rule that I have keep this plane in this way. Assume that charges are all moving in this way. Okay, to calculate the current, you just need how much of charge have been moved part a particular plane. However, I can also consider a plane in this direction. Okay, and notice this charges are still moving in the original direction. Just because I decided to change the plane orientation does not mean that the charges also have to move in that plane. However, what would happen is the strength of electric field across this plane would be reduced, because now this original direction of motion of charge would not be same as the direction of normal plane. Okay, and if there is angle between the two, call this angle as theta, the current would be reduced by a factor of cos theta. To take into account this orientation of current, we introduce and deal with these planes, and we introduce a quantity called current density, with the idea that current density gives us how much of current is flowing past a given plane oriented. An oriented plane or an oriented surface is simply the one in which we can describe or define the surface normal. To get an appreciation of this current and current density, imagine that these are line of J fields, and we could easily see that, for example, we take a wave, okay, and we take a waveguide which we will be see in the engineering, okay, or in this course also at the end. Then the exciting model inside, it would generate some wall current, and then these current would all have their different magnitude. All the top surface, they would have different magnitude, and J line will be flowing in different directions. Okay, now imagine placing a plane, and if you place a plane that is parallel to this, there would be essentially no current, okay, because as much J line are entering, as many J lines are coming out. So when I say J lines, I actually mean current density vector. So current density vector would not be changing here. I mean, I would be as much entering, as much leaving, therefore there would not no current through the plane. Okay, and if I keep plane that would look like this, there would be some current, but that current of that amount of current will dependent on the angle of normal of the surface that makes with respect to J line, and the amount of surface that would be there would be dependent on the angle between the normal and to the plane, as well as the J lines. So you can capture that by defining the current as J dot ds. Define current as J dot ds. This would be the total current delta I, and that would be J dot ds. I'm just for sake of this, I'm assuming J field is all uniform. Of course, it is possible, and in a waveguide example I gave you, it is possible, it is a fact happen that J will be non-uniform. That is that it will be different at different point on waveguide plane. When will I get maximum current? I will get maximum current when I choose a plane that will actually be completely perpendicular to the J line, if it is perpendicular to these line. Okay. So J field angle between J lines and normal to the surface would equals to 0 in that case, and then I will get the maximum current. So I know that the incremental current that I get out of the surface, which I have kept as ds, would be J dot ds, and the total current I would be equals to J over the surface, integration of J over the surface, and the surface would be irregular, and J itself would be non-uniform and should be closed or open. An interesting thing, right? Should it be open or closed? It will leave it as an exercise for you to think about this, and the surface must be open. Okay. Is there a relationship between current and velocity of charge? Yes, there is. Imagine that I have a surface here. I have a surface called dA in a time delta t or dt. If you imagine that there are charges and a charge on each surface, these charges would have moved past a certain distance. How much distance they would have moved past if each of these charges are on uniform motion, uniform velocity v, then they would all move a length of v dt. So this is some length, okay, and there would be a positioned at new position in the space. So this surface area is, say, dA, which I am considering, and how many charges have actually gone past per second. Well, you can calculate this, right? So see, first of all, total charge that have passed there would be nq v dt dA. This is length, dt is this v dt is my length and dA is area, and this can be height and this can be area. So together you are going to get volume here. N is number of charge per unit volume. So number of charge per unit volume multiplied by some per unit volume would be this one multiplied by this one, and Q is charge on each charge, and Q is the amount of charge that is carried by each charge carrier. So this N multiplied by Q will be the charge density. This multiplier will be charge density. So this would essentially be the charge density. In journal, why represent this as, if it is a point form of this one, it would be rho, okay, and this is amount of charge that have gone past the particular plane in the time dt, okay, that is the charge. So current that must have gone will be dq by dt, and that is given by nqv dA. Since I am defining at charge density, it will be rho v dA, and this is the current that has gone past. However, I am interested in the current density, and current density is current per unit area. So this is given by rho v, which is actually volume charge density, okay, and v is the velocity of charge carrier. So if these charge carrier can be counted like the charge per volume that we wrote, this would be nqv. This would be current, and that do I measure, what do I measure current and current density in? Current is measured in ampere. This current is measured in ampere, ampere, and current density is measured in ampere per meter square, because this is the density of the current, okay. Now we will discuss very brief what is called as conservation equation, or sometime called as continuity equation of current, okay. So you have to realize that this conservation and continuity equation had nothing to deal with Maxwell equation, okay. This is just a fact that the total number of charge inside the universe can't be changed. This is global conservation that must happen. But locally, what it means is that if there is some current, then there must be amount of charge inside particular small volume, that would be going down. Okay, so at a point, if there are J lines coming out, then it means that charge must be flowing along J lines, which means the original charge distribution must be going down at a particular point. That is all the conservation of charge is saying. Charge are being transported, therefore the amount of charge in fact would be going down. It will be, you imagine a bus and people are coming out. If you imagine these people are J lines, the current density vectors line, then only way this J would be non-zero when number of people inside are reducing, and this is nothing to do with electromagnetics. This is just a conservation of people. So instead of conservation of people, you have conservation of charge carrier. So whenever there is no zero value of J in closed surface, not the open surface, in closed surface, the only way you have J lines to be non-zero or the vector field J to be non-zero when the number of charge inside volume enclosed by surface is reducing. So there must be balance between the two. So people inside the bus are reducing, hence the people outside the bus are increasing. This is simple as that. So imagine that I have a closed surface and this is the time it is closed surface, and the surface is bounding a certain volume. Let us say over this closed surface I will evaluate the diversion J. Evaluate the diversion of J vector. So I will evaluate the diversion of current density, or essentially picture how the J field lines will be coming out. They would be all be emanating outside the closed surface. So I know that as long as J is non-zero, or more preciously, as long as diversion of J is non-zero inside a particular closed surface, there must be charge which are getting reduced. Correct? So what I have is that the J field line, of course, over ds over the closed surface. In a particular case, it is closed because I have to consider the region of surface. So this would be equals to total charge, total current I, and this would be equals to amount of charge that are coming out. Please note that this Q out indicate charge are coming out of closed surface. However, if there are charges coming out, an equal amount of charges must be getting inside reduces. Correct? So charge are getting reduced inside. Now I know how the charge enclosed by volume is related. If I know the volume density rho v, then the charge inside can be written as integration of rho v dv. Correct? Now this is d by dt of that, because now rho is a function of this space coordinates. So I need to replace this expression minus q by integration of rho v. Okay, this is crucial relationship. Then surface J is closed over closed surface is actually equals to change in volume charge density. Okay, so charge inside are getting reduced. So this is surface that we are considering. The current density outside is actually non-zero, indicating there is diversion of J is non-zero. That would only happen when charge density is actually reducing. So the charge distribution reduced, the charge are essentially flowing outside, and you are getting J vector to be non-zero, or more preciously diversion of J to be non-zero. I can apply diversion theorem to the left side and convert this into volume. Okay, remember, I can apply diversion theorem to find to the left hand side and convert into volume. J dot ds becomes delta J, which is diversion over volume, plus d rho v by dt over volume is equals to 0. Okay, after bring the right hand side to the left hand side. Now if there is a volume that is going to 0, the only way that can happen is this delta dot J is equals to differentiation of rho with respect to time, indicates that the charge distribution, changing charge distribution is the source of diversion of J. So this is called conservation or the continuity equation, and this is very important. Just for a sake, let us do a small example. Let us assume J is equals to 1 by R E minus T A by M along R. So it is radially going away as 1 by R, and J vectors are going as 1 by R along radial direction, and they are changing with time by exponential value E minus T. Let's say T is equals to 1 second, and I want to find out the current density at radius 5 and 6. This is 5 meter and this is 6 meter radius. So let's do this problem. This is simply integration of J over the closed surface. Okay, and in this case surface is sphere of radius 5 and 6. Okay, and so this will become 1 by 5 e to the power minus 1, because time is 1 second. Okay, then its surface area is 4 pi r square, and I am putting the value of 5. So it is 23.1 ampere, and similarly for 6 meter it is 27.7 ampere. So the current is actually increasing as we go away. If you will see, as we are going away, current is increasing. Well, what would be the reason for that? This is 27.7 ampere. Now we will see the reason, but before that let us look at how the volume charge density is changing. So I know del dot J must be equals to differentiation of volume charge density. Okay, and you can evaluate diversion of J. So if you do that, you are going to get minus 1 r square e to the power minus t in the direction of r. So this is charge density as varying with respect to time. And if you look at what is overall change variation, charge variation with respect to time, you have to do that. You have to obtain that by integrating this one. Okay, so integration, this thing, you will get the integration of this fellow. Okay, that is 1 by r square, integration with respect to time, of course. So 1 by r to e to the power minus t plus some constant you will get. You are integrating it with respect to time. Okay, so you will get this with some constant of integration, r measured in coulombs per meter cube, of course, right? So at t equals to infinity, if I assume that all the charges has been depleted, which means this volume charge density is 0, I can show that K of R will also becomes 0. So the volume charge density inside material is given by, or inside the sphere at any radius is given by 1 by r square e to the power minus t coulombs per meter square. Okay, and I know that J is equals to rho v times velocity. Clearly J is along radial direction and V must also be along radial direction, and I get radial velocity Vr is equals to J along the radial direction divided by the charge distribution, that would be equals to 1 by r e to the power minus t divided by 1 by r square e to the power minus t, which is equals to r. So, see, velocity is in direction proportion of r, indicating that if r increases, if r Vr is proportional to r, so it is indicating if r is increasing, Vr increasing. This implies that acceleration will be equals to 0, will not be equals to 0. So which means that the charge are getting constantly accelerated, and there is some force which is accelerating, and that force we have not calculated, and this is the reason why the current is increasing as we keep increasing the radial distance. So we have looked at enough about electric current. Resume with conductor. So we will go back to conductor and we will start talking about conductors. Well, the conductor, as we have already discussed, has a lot of free charges, and these charges experience the force which when apply an electric field, this charge experience a force which is given by minus q times E. Each charge experiences this particular force, and you might think that they would start getting accelerated. So if I now equate this one to md double differentiation of with x with respect to time, x is the position of electron from its equilibrium position, I am measuring the displacement x, and then according to this equation the acceleration must also now begins because of the force that is being applied. However, what happen is that in metal there are these lattice, right, and these lattice will consist of positive charge, and so the electrons begin to accelerate even about in a distance that is given by electric field, and then get attracted or get hits by lattice and then slow down. Again it's begin to move, hit the lattice and slow down. So it's keep going doing this. Then there is actually a mean distance, that is electrons would actually travels without hitting the lattice. Without hitting the lattice, it would actually move a certain amount of distance. This is called mean free path of electrons. So electrons begin to accelerate, hit the lattice, slow down, begin to accelerate, slow down, and so on. So in essence what happen is that there is average velocity that is developed, which would not be same velocity if electrons were in free space. And if electrons were in free space, and if the electrons were to be accelerated by the application of electric field, it would simply begins to accelerate, and you can obtain that by following this relationship, the Newton's law. Okay, now inside lattice, inside a material medium, it will begins to move, hit and then slow down, begins up average drift velocity, give you up average drift velocity, and this is still large, but it is not very as large as velocity in free space. And the average drift velocity of electrons is given by, interestingly, that is actually proportional to electric field, and that proportionality constant is called mobility of electrons. Mu n is the mobility of electrons. Although we are not going to discuss semiconductor in this course, in semiconductor there is actually what is called as hole. For all practical purpose, purpose. Hole behave as positively charged particle. They would also begins to accelerate. Expect that their acceleration would be in the direction of electric field, whereas electrons would move in the direction opposite to electric vector field. And holes movability is also important, especially when you are studying optical optoelectronics or VLSI microelectronic circuit. So you will see this mobility of holes, and these are corresponding to holes velocity. It turn out generally mu h is much less than mu n, and this is the fact which actually reduce the speed of most of ICs. Okay, it is the fact that hole can't move as fast as electrons that is responsible for clock speed in some sense. It is not that it is the only factor, but in some ultimate sense that is the reason. So we are only looking at electron inside conductor, we are not looking at this one. Okay, so what would turn out to be unit of hole, mobility of electrons? Drift velocity is in meter per second and electric field is volt per meter. So mobility must be measured in meter square by volt second. So this is the unit of mobility. Of for copper and other, this mobility is quite high. So we have taken negative sign here. This is indicating that we are considering electrons. If it was positively charged particle, you would drop this sign. So the force would be along the direction of electric field, and mobility would be the appropriate charge carrier. Now we also know what is current density J, given by volume charge density at any point times V. Okay, and we also have seen that rho V is given by N Q mu E, right? And the volume charge density rho V itself is given by number density, number times Q and V in this drift velocity, which is mu E. So I have dropped the negative sign here. I am considering only the positive sign because conventional current is defined in terms of positive current. So this quantity mu n q mu is called as conductivity of the material, and sigma is denoted by sigma. Conductivity is denoted by sigma. So we have this is called as Ohm's law. This is not really a law, this is just an empirical observation, and conductivity is the parameter that determines how much of current is produced in response to the applied electric field. Okay, so that's all for today's lecture. Thank you.